Hey everybody, it's Cajun News Network. I figured tonight I would um, put together my first black powder video. The reason why is um, I really appreciate the old timers, or I call them old timers, but anyway, guys that have actually a lot of black powder experience. With them sharing into different groups, little hints, suggestions, and things of this nature. For you guys that are making these videos, I don't know how many people you got watching, but anyway. If I'm not on, you're watching it. You invite me because I can't get enough of black powder. Little story. I'm a veteran. I have PTSD, and I can't own a regular firearm. A modern day firearm. So, but I love to shoot. I love to go to the range. Right now, the Texas governor has declared open season on hogs. They're taking over Texas. So anyway, and go to the woods and get to do some hog hunting. So I kind of figured, well, I'm SOL. I can't really go hog hunting. I can't really go to the range and shoot, not legally. But in Texas, 40.06 allows us to actually carry antique and curio firearms, which, to my surprise, I didn't really. Hey, what's up, Pug? I didn't really realize the actual enjoyment I would get out of this hobby that I have. Just to give you an example, I have three of these. Well, I have one with a long barrel, and then I have three of these. These are all 1850. Well, this one here is an 1851 Navy Confederate Colt. And for the newbies, I kind of want to go through what I was going through whenever I first started black powder. I don't have the opportunity to have and discuss a lot of black powder issues here in Texas because it's really not. It says it's coming back, but there's really not anything local to where I can actually get together and talk about things, talking about my individual weapon, talking about what's going on, whatever, and get tips and hints from the old timers or whatever. So I put together this video so you won't experience some of the things that I experienced. Or here's your answer to some of the things, the general questions that may come up that sometimes you don't want to ask the old timers, or that maybe they don't want to answer you because well, you'll figure it out on your own or whatever. But anyway, whatever the reason is so anyway, this is an 1851. It's a sheriff's model Colt. It is Pieta. This is my newer version. Before I go any further, I think maybe I should tell you that I'm a shooter. I want to have my. Yeah, it's about it's a little bit more than a 38. It's like a 357 basically. It's a 44 caliber. I didn't mention that. Thank Poke. It's a 44 caliber. They do come in 36 caliber, and either one I recommend. I have not shot a 36. I went for the 44. Like I said, because I love to shoot, but also when I'm game hunting or I'm going hog hunting, I always take this pistol with me. I have two rifles, black powder rifles that I actually bring out. But let's say, for example, I'm off my target, I miss a little bit, and hog turns around, comes to get me. Then I still got something, and my main priority is making sure that they're reliable and that they are able to function, and I don't have as many misfires or jams. And this is what I've learned to some of the things. It seems basic, but just double check this information, or double check whenever you actually have your actual weapon. You can get these at Cabela's. You can actually. It's probably a pain. The confusing part for loading is I'll go over that, Puck. Matter of fact, I'll go over that. Yeah, but you can order this from Cabela's. It's they're underneath $250. They'll deliver it directly to your door, and no questions asked. You can even get your like little starter kit. It's got patches. It's got some balls in there, and these do. I shoot round balls. I don't shoot conicals. I just don't I just don't. I never have put conicals in here, and one day I will. But anyway, like I said, But on the loading part, oh, my wedge is tight. I ordered me a new wedge, if you can tell, or whatever. On the loading part, there is a here. I'll ask you a question, Pug. Right here, there's a lever right here. It comes undone here. Ah, yeah, see, it comes undone there. And if you'll notice that here is a plunger. Now, these small plungers, what I found is like it's really difficult. So what I do is I take a cheater pipe. I got a little piece of PVC I put over there so I can ram it down. Then I got my my loading done. Now for loading this portion here, they have this is your cylinder, and a few things on the cylinder basically is that you have well basically it's cylinders. You're looking at you got cylinders in there, and you know you got a good one, or you know that you're up to date because you look through and you can see 6 little holes there. I'm sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6 little holes there. That means it's clean, and they're clean and they're ready to rock and roll. And anyway, so a powder measure, you can get one of those after you have actually experienced loading this thing and loading it and unloading it or whatever. You can pretty much tell where you need to have your powder. I'm shooting anywhere from 25 to 30 grains of powder in here. If I reach out to 75, at about 50 yards, then I put in a little bit more. But always be aware that if you put too much powder in here, you can't get your ball in here. I shoot 0.454 balls in this. 0.451 works, but I like a 454 because I get that lead seal. The lead kind of comes off, and I know it's sealed right. So anyway, you would put your powder in here, which is 25 grains. If you don't have a loader, you can actually get, I don't have mine with me, but anyway, you can have, it's like a brass, and you can actually determine, it screws up and down, and you actually determine how much powder you're actually using. Now people say black powder, but my thing is this, is that I shoot Pyrodex, Triple F. This is what most of the guys, they recommend. So the loading part is done with this. However, if you go to Cabela's and if you go to other websites, they do have hand loaders, which I take to the range with me. So I go out and then they puts on a little nail and it goes up and it's got a handle, so I can actually reload a little bit quicker. But be careful. They've got one that's just actually got a nail, and it's kind of cheap made, and it doesn't work as good. Spending extra money, it's like $20 for a good loader. A good loader makes all the difference. It actually seats it. It actually does everything for you, and it actually loads, and you can actually, whenever you load, and you know that it's actually sealed properly, and you got a good feel. I don't particularly like using this, okay, to be honest. But in a pinch, I will, or whenever I'm at the range, sometimes I will. So this is for loading. Hope I answered your question, Pug. Anyway, so the loading part, I do not use a patch. I know I'm supposed to. However, I'm shooting at 10 to 15 yards, so I don't use a patch. Chain fires. A chain fire is whenever you one of your cylinders fire and then it ignites the other cylinder. They say patches actually help that, and I don't find that to be true. What I find to be true is that during a chain fire, what it is that you actually got excess powder or actually residue that actually lights the actual other chambers. Some people they like to put lube on their cylinders. I do usually. If I use, I don't spend the money on the big. I don't spend any money on the fancy lubes and everything they get from. I get Crisco. I just do the old way. I just put Crisco on there and just to lube it up. And this is that helps my chain fires. And it actually, it's very simple. Just to rub that on there and then put it in. I know this sounds like a lot, but once you get in the habit of doing it, it's really nothing or whatever. So I go cheap with what I get. There's cocoa butter. Not cocoa butter, but anyway, yeah, boar butter. I use live for for actually for cleaning purposes, and I also use it just actually maintain my weapon so it's kind of waterproof. I do use regular cleaner, but the best thing to clean your revolver is I found is basically soap and water. You warm you up some hot water, um, and put a little Dawn dishwashing soap in there and let it soak, and it'll come out right out of there. Come out right out of there. Now, I have done one thing, and I don't know if this is probably a good avenue, but I actually have taken these down. In my whole weapon, I've actually taken them down to the car wash, and I got a bucket. I poke holes in the bucket, and that gets most of my residue off. And then I can actually clean it when I get back with Q-tips or whatever. But it gets most of the residue off, because what will happen is when you start firing, Pyrodex or gunpowder, it doesn't matter. It'll kind of start after about 10, 15, 20 rounds. It'll start gumming up a little bit, and you need to just take this off. And your cylinder here, I think mine's a little rusty. That's why Kate broke it down to clean it tonight. This cylinder here will get gooey, and they have a residue here. And all you need to do is just I take a wire brush when I'm shooting, just wire brush it out. And I do sometimes I will run a cleaner through my bore or through my barrel. So there is a little maintenance, like when you're out on the range, if you're shooting 20, 30, 45 rounds, 50. But I take a break and I drink soda, and luckily I'm out there with a lot of guys, and we just sit and shoot and talk and get away from the wives, what we normally do. But like I said, this is the loading process. Now, another thing that I want to mention is that the nipples that I have on here, these are slick shot nipples. It was recommended to me to actually get these slick shot nipples because I was having problem with the factory made nipples. I just wasn't getting in the fire consistently. Yeah, nice nipple. Y'all see me when I take my shirt off, bro. But these are slick shot nipples, and basically they actually have you can see that they have an actual hole here. Yeah, I lost about 15 pounds, man. About 15 pounds, man. My dogs are eating all my food. No, it's just been hot, and I've been outside mowing a lot. I'm mowing my back part, my back 40 back there. I'm getting it cleaned up or whatever. I got grandkids coming over the end of this month, and so I'm setting up I got my man cave out there. I'm setting up a TP. I'm setting up everything so they'll have a lot of serious of grandpa time. But these slick shot nipples, they are like $6 for 6, and I'm willing to pay that because they actually are more reliable. I don't get as many jams with these, and Mr. Mike Bellevue told me at one time. I took his advice, and the face of I don't know if you can see this. You can see it, okay? The face of this trigger right here. He told me there's a little nipple in there. I mean, I don't know if you can see it. There's a little right here. There's a gap. Now, what this little gap is supposed to do is supposed to pull your cap off. A lot of times, this doesn't happen. So if your cap is not fully seated, then what it'll do is that your busted cap will get down in the fouling, or be in the fouling. It'll get down here and it'll cause you to jam. So Mr. Mike Bellevue was saying, well, you can always just take a file and you can just file this off or whatever, and get that knot out of there. Well, hell, here's what you don't do. I took a damn Dremel and now I had messed up the face of the surface of this thing, and basically what happened was it wasn't actually making contact. So this is very important on your trigger. You need to make sure that you're getting full contact on to your where you hit your cap. For these slick shot nipples, I'll go back to this. These slick shot nipples, I use number 11 caps. For the factory made, 10 will work, but I don't shoot factory made anymore after I've shot in these. These are more consistent, and I just have fell in love with them. So this is what I actually take on the range, of where I actually my deal. I suggest you get a backpack. I carry all my tools with me, or I don't, not a big bag, but anyway, I carry all my necessary tools, a powder. I carry extra, and also people talk about reloading. When I go to the range, I have about 4 or 5 of these preloaded. So in other words, I can do the Clint Eastwood thing, man. I can, you know, um, so get you a couple extra chambers, and you can preload them, and it'll save you time, but also it'll actually get you it'll actually get you in practice of actually changing your cylinders in a timely fashion. Now, this is something that I've learned, these slick shot nipples. Now let's talk about timing a little bit. I'm not really for sure what these old timers consider timing, but here's what I consider it: is that I want to make sure that these nipples actually fit. In other words, if these nipples actually fit, that they actually make contact. So in other words, I want to see the gap in there. If you wear down your trigger a little bit, there'll be more of a gap. But see this one right here, I don't know if you can't see it. Anyway, this one right here is actually making contact, and I can see it making contact with my nipple, so I know it's good to go. Now timing is basically this. See, I caught that, and now my cylinder is actually. I'm sorry, I can't find my camera. But anyway, I've cocked this. My cylinder's rotated. I'm back. I'm right in line with my next. I'm right in line with my next nipple. And sometimes, whenever there's wear and tear, or if you got a mainspring that's actually going bad, you don't get as much leverage to actually put the cylinder in the right place. So that's something I'll go for in a minute. However, the fact is, it's very important that you actually pay attention to your trigger. And what I do is that I just buy bulk. I do it pretty much once a month. Black powder to have delivered to your home is expensive. You got to pay for shipping costs for explosives. That's pretty expensive. So what I do is I normally go to Taylorton Company, and I order like extra triggers. I order extra. Basically, like old timer told me, Texas Ranger. Okay, hey, how you doing, man? How you doing? Welcome. I'm glad you're here. You look like one of them old timers. So I need some hints. So I'm not talking. I'm not being disrespectful. I'm saying I respect the hell out of you guys. So, but like I said, this is my main setup. This is what I actually use for monitoring where my other 1850s and ones are for. And like I said, a trick that I've learned is that when you put these nipples on, you have a nipple wrench. Sorry, I don't have my nipple wrench, but anyway, you'll get one whenever you'll get. Anyway, you need a nipple wrench. But anyway, I was having problems with my jams, and I was actually tightening these nipples just snug. I wasn't really jamming on them or whatever. But what I found out is that these nipples are not all exactly alike. Some of them just may be a hair or whatever. So what I do is that if I fire and it's not reliable, it doesn't go off, then the first thing I do is I'll remove my cap and I'll back it out a little bit. So in other words, I'll make the cap a little bit longer. I just go maybe about a quarter of a turn at a time. It's up to your preference or whatever. But I normally use about a quarter of a turn just to get my bearings, and then I'll actually fire it until I get it reliable. And like I said, each individual cylinder and each set of slick shot nipples that you get they're not all just precision perfect. There's a little bit off, so you have to back them off a little bit, or tighten them up a little bit, whichever way, which works for you. But a good way of doing that is just checking when you're rotating your cylinders, just double checking, making sure that hammer is fitting all the way. If your hammer is kind of hitting like this, or it's not fully engaging flush, that's where you're gonna have a lot of misfires. And this is what I try to avoid. I don't like misfires. I hate it. I don't mind the cap skidding because there's a technique where you just use whenever you fire and you just drop it out like that. I've had good luck with that. Just fire and dropped it out, and the nickel will come out, and the nipple will come out, and then I can fire again if it's a situation. Now, whenever these nipples are, whenever you've actually got a nipple that you've actually backed off too far, because whenever you put it on the when you put it on here is that when you try to cock it back, it'll eventually get stuck. So in other words, it's got to actually, you've actually got to clear this right here. So you got to back it off enough so your nipple clears that part, so you won't actually jam up and it won't be causing you a problem whenever you're going through and cycling. So this is something I learned on timing that is very important. Now, the next question on timing is basically this. So this is what I've learned. And like I said, well, I don't think I said it, but anyway, my point is that whenever people told me that you're going to have you're going to have issues with your parts. And somebody told me at one time, just, hey, whenever you get ready to order parts, and save your old parts, because just because something doesn't work on one weapon, it may work on another weapon. But so anyway, when I do make my order, I make sure I order I may order some extra slick shot nipples, or I may order things that are inside. I'm not going to take this apart because guess what? We'll be here all night. But anyway, that's probably be our next lesson. But another thing that helps with your timing is that there is a mainspring that goes when this thing here comes off, and there's a mainspring. It's just an actual metal. It's a metal. You'll see it. It's curved metal like this, and it goes underneath your trigger here. Now, the reason why that's important because it actually determines how much leverage you've got or how much tension that you have on your trigger. Now, I have people tell me I couldn't believe I did this, but anyway, I have broken mainsprings. Okay. I have broken them. Matter of fact, somebody was telling me that you can actually take these and you can actually bend them. Well, I was bending one, I broke it. And then I was shooting with one and it broke. That means that I should have paid attention and ordered me a spring, ordered me some extra springs before they go out. On this particular one right now, I've had to adjust it. Let me tell you how you adjust it. There is a screw that's right here, okay, or that's actually attached to the rim. But anyway, it's right in here. And if you're not getting enough leverage, in other words, timing is not right and it's not locking back twice, it should, there. If it's not doing that and it's actually just coming whole forward, and what you need to do is you need to adjust your mainspring a little bit. Now, if you want it tighter in order to increase your trigger leverage, or you want to increase the trigger pull, then what you do is you tighten it up a little bit. So in other words, it creates more of a bite. If it's too tight and it's actually too tight, you really have a hard time figuring it out. So what I do is that I actually put it snug enough to where my action's fine, and then I don't mess with it. And if I don't really snug it up, I actually leave a little bit of room. And what I'll do is that I can adjust it as I go on. And this actually helps preserve or get the most out of your mainspring. And like I said, I broke two of them. One of them I was messing with, and the other one, I don't know what, it just blew up on me. So anyway, so you need to pay attention to your trigger, the spring, trigger mainspring, and you need to actually look at the actual condition it's in. When I break it down, I actually put lube on. I keep it sanded. I keep my mainspring because I learned my lesson. I mean, if I don't take care of my mainspring, then I'm going to get. I'll be on the range and I'm looking for mainsprings. You can't find one. Also, and when you go to the range, it's advised to take you a 10. I just got a 10, and I put all my extra parts in there and just carry it. It doesn't really take up extra much room, but in case something goes wrong, I have my tools. Boom, I can fix it. And go on. Now, basically, this are my 1851s, and I'm actually graduating to get other weapons. Let's put it this way: when you go into black powder, it's not really expensive, but what happens is that you have that. Well, I want to get that. Let me get that. Let me get that. Pretty soon, your wife is coming there and say, "Why do you need another weapon?" So, my advice to you is trying to keep you a separate account, make it a man account, and you just buy your weapons or whatever. Another place I want to I want to put in a plug is gunauction.com. I can't speak too much. I can't speak enough about these guys. It's an auction platform. You can go in, you can pick out your black powder. You want black powder, whether revolvers or whether rifles, and you can go in and you can actually bid. What you actually keep the bid you keep track of daily. You can actually you get notifications in your email, and I've gotten two great deals. I paid a fraction of a price of what I spent on a new one. Um, but they're good weapons. I had one was Springfield that I bought. I think it's 54 caliber, and then I got another muzzle loader, which is a rifle, which is a 50 cal. And both of those have worked out very well, and they work great. The owner tells you what's wrong with it, tells you everything, and you can actually easy transactions. I just ask them how you want me to send the money. They credit card, PayPal. These two gentlemen, I just send them a check, and I guess nowadays you can run a check through it and money comes out of your account. So um, it's very convenient, but I keep an eye on that, and that's where I get in trouble because I'm keeping an eye on my auction. I have a barrel coming, 50 cal barrel coming because it was at a great price. And I just bid just like $20 or $25 more than the actual asking price was. And I'll be damned if I won. I won. So now I spent, I spent $114 without shipping and everything. I spent $114, and it ain't buying. It's like I'm good, but explaining it to the wife is why I need it, and that's where I generally get in trouble. Um, there are very many holsters that you can actually go to. Most of our most you can look up. If you go to these groups, they're great. I think Buck Skinners is one I go to. I watch Buck Skinners. They have links to all these groups. Whether you be a trapper, whether you be an enthusiast, whether you're being a shooter, whether you're being whatever, or if you want to go to a rendezvous, you can go to a rendezvous where you get a lot of individuals that are actually black powder enthusiasts, and they go back in time and they go back and they actually live the way, and their tents and everything. They actually live for that period of time off the land to actually remember our heritage, but also keep it alive, so to speak. And so Buck Skinner's is one. There's so many I can't. But anyway, if you need to, I'll leave some in the link below. But it's good reading. Trappers, I love the trappers because they showing us how they tan their hides. I love to get Indian jewelry from some of these places. I love to get the old time stuff. My period of time is the Civil War period. That's what I'm really interested in. Anything dated around that time, I really can get involved if you're a history enthusiast. So there are people out there. You just kind of got to look in your Google black powder, and then go to groups, go to Facebook, type in black powder groups, and you'll get a bunch of groups. And unfortunately, a lot of these groups don't post anymore because it's not that popular of a sport. However, I do see more people getting interested in it. And then when I go to the range, I have more people asking me, "What are you? And it's gaining interest. Matter of fact, there was an individual who I was shooting with last week, and he was shooting 45 or 9mm. I'm sorry, he's shooting 9mm, and I was out on the rifle range, and he came down there and he said, "What are you shooting over here?" And I told him I had my Springfield out, and he said, "Man, that's a pretty weapon." And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, how's it shoot?" So I gave him my binoculars, let him look down there, and he goes, "Damn," and I ain't that good of a shot. But yeah, so you'll get enthusiasts that are actually out there, and then you can actually talk about. You're gaining a group where you can talk about black powder, and with my group of people that I talk to, I'm kind of a beginner, and I'm just going by what I know works. I'm sure there are better ways to do it. One of the things I like about it is because I'm retired and I live on a fixed income, but I have a man cave out there in the back, and I can go out there and tinker with my weapons. I can actually make them better. I watch videos on YouTube on how to on how they shoot, how weapons shoot. But you can actually get a whole tutorial before you actually purchase this weapon and what it's supposed to do and what it can't do. For carrying, this one here, this holster here, I know it's not. I've got a leather holster up here, but this one here, I got it at Walmart for $17, and this is the one that I actually use the most because it's very versatile and it's waterproof. And also the other thing is that sometimes them holsters get they get pretty expensive. So I've got 3 holsters, so I holster all my weapons. And I got this one as utility. Do I can actually carry this? Now, be advised on open carry on black powder. You can open carry. You can open carry this pretty much legally everywhere. However, if a business asks you to leave because they don't have or advise them, well, this is not really a weapon; it's an antique. Well, we need you to leave. Then you need to leave the premises immediately, and I just don't shop there no more. Okay, fine, you lose my business because I'm just walking around with a weapon, and then or not a weapon. It's not a weapon. It's not a firearm. It's not a sidearm. It's not a weapon. If you're from Texas, look at 40.06 or the U.S. Constitution. I can't remember the actual statute, but it actually states that it's not considered a firearm. It's not a weapon. It's not anything as long as you use black powder. Now, I think I've gone on everything, but anyway, the last thing that I want to mention is there are conversion cylinders to these for you guys that are interested in cowboy shooting, the old Clint Eastwood or whatever, and you don't, and you want to fire rounds and you want to be able to reload rounds really quicker than what you can with this. They have a conversion, and a conversion goes on this, and what it actually is, it has firing pins in it, and it's a special made cylinder that only shoots 5 rounds. I got one from Taylor's and Company, and the reason why I'm not showing you this is because I have shot with it. I shot with it 4 times, took it to the range 4 times, and the firing pins that go in there, they were actually really cheap. They were actually plastic. It worked great for as long as it worked, but over 4 times shooting, those pins actually worked themselves out. So I have one now. I have the cylinder and I have the backing, but I'm still trying to figure out how to make my own triggers, but I haven't had any luck with that. You can get them at some of the suppliers, TC and Company. I believe they had them, but they're $14 a piece. Each firing pin is like $14 a piece. But you can get the whole assembly for like underneath $125. So whichever works for you. I'm just going to order the back plate and actually ask them to can they send me a back plate with better cylinders in it. So I just want to make sure that I have that because if I go hog hunting, that's what I'm going to use basically. My spare cylinders will be black powder, but let's put it this way: if I got a hog and I shot it one time, he's going to be pretty pissed, and I don't want to have to worry about if my damn weapon's going to jam. And I need to put 6 rounds down range, and I don't really want to worry about having it be and not firing. This is why I work diligently to make sure that mine are firing, and it's very good confidence builder whenever you know that when you pick up this curio, this antique, when you pick it up, it's going to fire, and that is the main hurdle for a lot of individuals who are actually entertaining the sport. They're actually looking at saying, well, it don't fire all the time. Well, if you do a little tinkering, if you listen to some people, guess what? You can make a very reliable weapon. It's great for self-defense and hunting hogs. And I guarantee it. I got 6 shots after I shoot that first shot. If I miss a little bit, guess what? I got 6 more shots when it gets in range. But that's just me. There's different enthusiasts. There's enthusiasts that actually buy a beautiful weapon. They'll put it in their cabinet, and that's where it sits. Their gun cabinet, that's where it sits. Unfortunately, I'm not that kind of shooter. I like to actually, when I purchase something, I want to go out to the range. Okay, I want to go to the range. Once again, the reason for this video, I know that there's going to be some feedback. You know what? I don't care. I really think, please ask me questions. Or if you have questions, or if you have anything you want to correct, please do, because this is how we keep the sport alive, is by having individuals talk about it, and we teach each other and our youngsters that are growing up that this is a valuable option, that this is actually something you can actually do as a hobby. And it keeps going on. Like now I'm learning how to make my own powder. I went to here's a good tip too. If you want to start learning how to make your own balls, go to the tire shops, because you know those lead weights that they use to balance your vehicle, they'll give them to you. I got 2 big buckets of lead, and they didn't cost me anything. I just take them. And so now I have all this lead that I can actually melt into balls, and it's not that difficult. Maybe we'll get out there and I'll show you how I do it, and it'll be the first time. So good luck with that. Huh? But I promise I won't burn nothing up or won't blow up. Not on camera. But anyway, this is just an introduction to black powder. Thank you guys that actually have these groups. Whether you realize it or not, like I said earlier, that hey, if you don't believe there's people watching, I am, and also individuals that are getting enthused about this. They're watching your videos too. So if you want to plug yourself, I have a Facebook page. It's Huntington, Texas, and Angelina County. Things they won't tell you. Go in there, post your group, post whatever you want, advertising. I don't care. Just anyway, just post it, and then everything will be great. I'll be fine with it. But thank you guys, and as always, I learned this. It's gonna be cool. As always, you keep your powder dry. Cajun News Network, black powder. There we go.